Ever wondered how a single movie managed to blend 1960s nostalgia, modern-day humor, and a parade of surprising cameo appearances, all while creating a timeless comedy classic? Today, we're exploring the fascinating world of Austin Powers, unveiling 15 unexpected facts that shaped this spy spoof into the groovy phenomenon beloved by fans of all ages. Let's dive in. 15th cameo. Spotlight, Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher's brief but unforgettable cameo in Austin Powers often leaves viewers doing a double take. Best known for portraying Princess Leia in Star Wars, Fisher appears in a completely different role here, the leader of a group therapy session that Dr. Evil attends. Although her screen time is short, her presence adds a dash of sly humor that only a Hollywood legend could deliver. This is one of those blink and you'll miss it moments, and many fans end up rewatching the scene once they realize who's playing that calm yet amused therapist. What makes this cameo so delightful is the playful contrast between Fisher's iconic sci-fi heritage and the zany Austin Powers universe. It's almost as if the film is winking at the audience saying, "Yes, we know she's a galactic princess. Now watch her try to straighten out a villain's issues." The therapy scene itself amplifies Dr. Evil's comical attempts to fit into a normal setting, and Fisher's deadpan reactions elevate the gag. Viewers who recognize her instantly may find themselves bursting into laughter simply out of the sheer novelty. Beyond the humor, Fisher's cameo underscores how the movie attracted talents from wildly different genres, all converging in a playful tribute to pop culture. Her participation reminds us that Austin Powers is more than a spoof. It's a cinematic grab bag of unexpected delights. Even if you've seen the movie a dozen times, spotting Fisher in this minor role feels like a brand new discovery, proving how layered and surprising this film can be. 14. Burt Bacharach's groovy appearance. Another cameo that dazzles fans is that of legendary songwriter Burt Bacharach. Known for penning timeless hits like "What the World Needs Now Is Love," Bacharach steps aboard a bright double-decker bus in Austin Powers, adding a pitch-perfect musical throwback to the swinging 60s vibe. When Austin and Vanessa Kensington glide through a faux London street, Bacharach's presence gives the scene an almost dreamlike charm, like stepping into a vintage music video. His cameo isn't just about star power, though. It's a symbolic nod to the film's core inspiration. Bacharach's tunes capture the era's optimism, romance, and flair, qualities Mike Myers sought to resurrect when crafting Austin's character. By featuring the actual man behind songs that shaped 1960s pop culture, the movie blurs the line between fiction and reality, making it feel like the real 60s spirit just wandered into the modern world. For audiences who grew up during Bacharach's heyday, this cameo can be a nostalgic reminder of a time when music was heartfelt and breezy. Younger viewers might simply find the cameo quirky, but it still highlights the film's commitment to weaving musical authenticity into its comedic tapestry. It's not every day you see a classic composer riding alongside a fictional spy wearing frilly shirts and velvet suits. This playful fusion of eras is precisely what makes Austin Powers stand out. It respects and parodies 1960s culture in equal measure, ensuring that each cameo is more than mere stunt casting. It's an invitation to celebrate the era's enduring groove. 13. Will Ferrell's Immortal Mustafa long before he became a household name in comedy. Will Ferrell popped up in Austin Powers as Mustafa, a hapless henchman to Dr. Evil who just can't seem to die. In one of the film's most slapstick moments, Mustafa tumbles into a perilous pit, but instead of meeting a swift end, he clings to life with comedic resilience. His desperate, echoing cries for help hint at Ferrell's future mastery of awkward, over-the-top humor. Part of the scene's hilarity arises from the clash between the movie's cartoonish spy narrative and Mustafa's surprisingly realistic pleas for rescue. As each second ticks by, audiences can't help but wonder if he'll finally succumb, or if he'll keep whining at the bottom of that pit forever. The comedic tension highlights Ferrell's gift for portraying characters who are simultaneously pitiful and hilarious. It also underscores Austin Powers' penchant for pushing a gag to absurd lengths, taking something that could have been a quick joke and stretching it into a memorable set piece. Ferrell's cameo serves as a kind of comedic time capsule, showing him at an early stage of his career when he was just starting to showcase the wide range of comedic faces he could pull off. Watching Mustafa persist against all odds is a wink to the audience. In Austin Powers, even minor characters refuse to exit quietly. It's a testament to how the film consistently flips expectations, whether it's the impervious henchman who won't go down, or the fact that a future A-lister was once just a briefly screaming cameo. For newcomers, it might be a jolt to see Ferrell in such a small role. For longtime fans, it's a treasure to revisit a comedic spark that would soon become a wildfire in Hollywood. 12. Tom Arnold and the infamous bathroom scene. Tom Arnold's cameo in Austin Powers takes bathroom humor to a whole new level. Literally. He appears as a chatty, all-American cowboy who finds himself in the stall next to Austin, utterly clueless about the chaotic fight unfolding inches away. Austin is locked in combat with an assassin, struggling to silence his foe, while Arnold's character misunderstands every bizarre noise and commotion. The result is a comedic crescendo of mistaken assumptions and one-liners that spark side-splitting laughter. What makes this scene iconic isn't just the slapstick brawl. It's Arnold's running commentary, peppered with folksy observations and increasingly alarmed inquiries. Audiences are torn between cringing at the sound effects and giggling at Arnold's complete lack of awareness. It perfectly captures the movie's irreverent spirit, taking a private moment and turning it into a comedic centerpiece by pushing the boundaries of taste. For viewers, this bathroom showdown epitomizes how Austin Powers cleverly subverts spy thriller conventions. Instead of a slick, silent takedown, we get loud mishaps, an oblivious bystander, and some truly cringy comedic beats that somehow land perfectly. Tom Arnold's cameo is a key ingredient in this recipe for chaos, adding southern fried humor to an already zany situation. The scene endures as one of the film's highlights, proof that in Austin's world, nothing is sacred, and everything is an opportunity for laughter. If any moment encapsulates the movie's willingness to go where other comedies dare not tread, it's this bathroom brawl overseen by a clueless cowboy who mistakes life-or-death struggle for a simple bout of digestive trouble. 11. Christian Slater's brief but surprising role blink, and you might miss Christian Slater popping up in Austin Powers. Known for cult classics like Heathers and True Romance, Slater slips into the role of a guard who nonchalantly offers Dr. Evil a drink. This cameo is so subtle, many first-time viewers miss it entirely, only to be startled when they realize they just saw a bona fide 90s icon in the background of a comedic spy farce. Even though his role is small, Slater's presence adds another layer to the film's mosaic of unexpected celebrity appearances. It underscores a key aspect of Austin Powers, the creative team's ability to attract talent from varied corners of Hollywood, whether it's comedic performers, classic musicians, or edgy film veterans. For Slater, it was a light-hearted detour from his more intense roles, proof that he was game for a quick cameo that would make audiences go, "Wait, was that?" There's also a certain playful irony in seeing Slater's cool, sometimes brooding persona casually standing guard in Dr. Evil's lair. It's almost as if the movie is telling fans, yes, we know you recognize him from darker roles, but we're throwing him into our carnival of silliness for a moment. The cameo enriches the experience by giving fans a quick hit of nostalgia, reminding them of the edgy 80s and 90s flicks that made Slater famous. In a film built on meta-humor and self-awareness, Slater's guard cameo fits right in, contributing to the sense that anything can, and will, happen in Austin Powers' outrageous universe. 10. A lonely drive that sparked an idea. The birth of Austin Powers began on a quiet drive home one evening, a far cry from the flashy dance numbers and chaotic comedic sequences we see on screen. Mike Myers, fresh from hockey practice, found himself surrounded by darkness with nothing but a car radio to keep him company. Then, The Look of Love, a Burt Bacharach classic, crackled through the speakers. In that fleeting moment, Myers felt transported back to an era of carefree optimism, swirling colors, and mod fashion. An era he realized had all but vanished from modern pop culture. That spark of longing ignited a question. What if a bright, groovy character from the 60s was suddenly plopped into the 90s? Driven by nostalgia for the comedic legends his Liverpool-born father introduced him to, Peter Sellers, the Beatles, and beyond, Myers started crafting a persona that celebrated all things swingin'. He envisioned a spy who was as much about laughter and absurdity as he was about catching villains, a figure who embodied the unfiltered fun of a decade brimming with cultural revolution. This idea didn't stay locked in Myers' imagination. Encouraged by those around him, he nurtured the spark into a screenplay. He realized that a James Bond spoof alone wouldn't be enough. It had to be a larger homage to the comedic beats, fashion statements, and unabashed campiness of the 1960s. From that fateful drive, AustinPowers took shape not just as a film, but as a joyous time machine aiming to bring back a bit of that lost decade's mojo, repackaged for an audience who might have forgotten just how fun those times could be. The rock band that started it all. Ming. Before AustinPowers danced across movie screens with his unforgettable catchphrases, he first strutted onto the stage as part of a retro-themed rock band called Ming. You heard that right. Mike Myers initially gave life to this flamboyant character through live music performances, jamming with fellow band members who each adopted their own swinging 60s personas. The group was formed in the early 90s, not long after Myers stepped away from Saturday Night Live, and it served as a creative sandbox where he could experiment with the spirit of the decade he adored. Their most notable track, a catchy tune simply titled BBC, radiated the same energy fans would later see in AustinPowers. Bright costumes, tongue-in-cheek lyrics, and a playful vibe were all part of the band's signature style. Friends and family, especially Myers' then-wife Robin Rusin, encouraged him to take this groovy persona beyond music, suggesting that a film might be the perfect way to showcase Austin's outlandish antics on a grander stage. By the time the movie AustinPowers, International Man of Mystery finally emerged, Ming T's influence was evident. The comedic flamboyance, colorful flair, and unabashed homage to the 60s had all been finely tuned during their musical gigs. Many fans who discover Ming T after seeing the film are astonished to learn that this comedic super spy started as a larger-than-life rock star. It's a testament to how passionately Myers believed in the character, enough to mold him first in the realm of music, then let him loose in a world of secret agents, nefarious plots, and unstoppable grooviness. 8. The Unsung Heroes. Behind the scenes, transforming AustinPowers from a quirky script into a cinematic sensation required the perfect blend of talent both in front of and behind the camera. Mike Myers penned the screenplay in 1995, capturing his vivid vision of a 60s-inspired spy tossed into the 90s. New Line Cinema took a leap of faith by coming on board, but it was director Jay Roach who truly harnessed the film's chaotic spirit. Roach, who had previously written the action-packed Blown Away, saw immense potential in Myers' comedic approach, even if it meant venturing into wildly different territory from his prior work. A key part of the movie's success lay in Roach's willingness to dissect the script. Handing Myers about 10 pages of detailed notes, he pinpointed which jokes could be sharpened, which scenes might be pushed further, and where the pacing could improve. It was a creative synergy that elevated the final product into a comedic gem. Another unexpected contribution came from Demi Moore, who co-produced the film. Famous for dramatic roles like Ghost and G.I. Jane, Moore brought a surprising flair to the project, proving that comedic gold often emerges from unlikely collaborations. Behind the scenes, the atmosphere was charged with experimentation. Actors and crew alike found themselves part of a playground where improvisation was encouraged. The costume department was perpetually in on the joke, and even set design celebrated the over-the-top nostalgia of the 60s. This collaborative environment not only gave AustinPowers its vivid aesthetic, but also ensured it had the comedic freedom to become a cult favorite. The result is a film that exudes a collective passion for humor, a product of chance meetings, creative risks, and a mutual commitment to delivering a spy adventure as bold and brassy as the era it both parodied and honored. 7. The Casting Rollercoaster. One of AustinPowers' most fascinating twists lies in the casting decisions that could have dramatically altered the film's dynamic. While we now can't imagine anyone but Mike Myers playing both the lovable Austin Powers and his arch-nemesis Dr. Evil, the initial plan was quite different. Myers originally had his sights set on Jim Carrey for Dr. Evil, a choice that might have turned the role into a completely different kind of comedic eccentricity. But Carrie opted for Liar Liar, leaving the door open for Myers to step in, proving sometimes creative luck arrives by accident. That wasn't the only close call. Stand-up comedian Colin Quinn once hinted he'd been offered the part of Scott Evil, only to decline in favor of a script that ultimately went nowhere. The role, of course, went to Seth Green, whose youthfully exasperated demeanor proved a perfect foil to Dr. Evil's bumbling yet diabolical presence. This constant juggling behind the scenes highlights how casting can shape a film's identity. Each near miss added a layer of what-if speculation, amplifying the film's allure for fans who enjoy imagining alternate versions of their favorite scenes. The final lineup, featuring Mike Myers in dual roles, Seth Green as the reluctant son, and an ensemble of comedic talents, struck a unique chord. Viewers were treated to double doses of Myers' comedic style, from Austin's wild enthusiasm to Dr. Evil's oddly dignified shenanigans. Rather than overshadow each other, the two extremes meshed into a comedic tapestry that became AustinPowers' trademark. With every sly grin and exaggerated accent, the cast reminded us how precarious the filmmaking process can be, and how a series of last-minute decisions can birth an unforgettable pop culture icon. 6. Improvisation, Nation, 30 to 40% was made up on the spot. Though Austin Powers is jam-packed with iconic lines and perfectly timed comedic beats, many fans don't realize how much was conjured out of thin air during filming. Director Jay Roach has confirmed that a staggering 30 to 40% of the finished product resulted from on-set improvisations. Cast members, especially Mike Myers and Seth Green, couldn't resist feeding off each other's energy. Entire exchanges, like the legendary back and forth between Scott and Dr. Evil, sprang to life spontaneously, unfolding in real time. This whirlwind of creative freedom meant that even scenes meticulously planned in the script could morph into something entirely different once the cameras rolled. The cast thrived on experimenting, sometimes letting a single joke balloon into an extended bit that tested the boundaries of mainstream comedy. From improvised dance moves to unscripted one-liners, the film embraced a level of comedic chaos that few big-budget productions dare to attempt. The spontaneous atmosphere nurtured comedic gold precisely because it felt fresh, uncalculated, and slightly dangerous. For viewers, this results in a unique form of comedic electricity. Jokes land not because they were carefully orchestrated, but because they captured an unpredictable moment of shared amusement among the actors. There's a palpable sense that anything can happen. No line is sacred, no character is locked in, and no scene is immune to a burst of whimsical madness. This improvisational core helped Austin Powers stand out amid a crowded field of 1990s comedies, ensuring that each watch reveals hidden quirks and subtle details you might not catch the first time around. Ultimately, it's a testament to the cast's comedic instincts and the director's willingness to let them roam free, creating a fluid, ever-evolving comedic tapestry on screen. The real filming locations. California in disguise. Despite the film's British flair, the reality is that Austin Powers was largely shot on American soil. Though the story leaps between London-inspired locales and flashy backdrops, the production team cleverly orchestrated most scenes within Los Angeles studio lots or around Nevada's neon-lit landscapes. Those quaint London streets, often just a cleverly dressed Paramount backlot, sporting iconic phone booths and Union Jacks to fool the eye, the illusion was so seamless that many viewers still assumed the movie was filmed overseas. Why this approach? Part of it came down to budget constraints and logistical ease. Filming in LA offered access to world-class facilities, skilled crews, and a controlled environment, vital for a comedy that relied heavily on stylized sets and over-the-top costumes. When it came time to replicate the nightclubs and casinos that Austin breezes through, Las Vegas was just a short hop away, offering the glitz and sparkle needed to match the spy's flamboyant energy. One of the film's sly inside jokes occurs when Austin and Vanessa drive through what's purported to be the English countryside. The dialogue comically references how much it resembles California, a self-aware wink that Austin Powers never shied away from poking fun at itself or its parodied inspirations. These tongue-in-cheek acknowledgments add another layer of enjoyment for audiences in the know. Far from undermining the British vibe, the choice to film stateside demonstrates the production's playful approach. It turned limitations into comedic assets and allowed them to craft a heightened, almost cartoonish version of swinging London, ensuring viewers were in on the joke all along. Fourth, head-to-head with 007. While Austin Powers lovingly spoofs many hallmarks of the James Bond franchise, secret lairs, megalomaniac villains, and outlandish gadgets, it surprisingly coexisted with Bond rather harmoniously in its early days. Pierce Brosnan was the reigning 007 during the release of Austin Powers, and there was no notable friction at first. Mike Myers even appeared in various Bond documentaries, speaking as an avid fan who saw his own creation more as homage than mockery. Yet time shifted the landscape. By the time Daniel Craig assumed the Bond mantle, the franchise pivoted toward darker, more grounded storytelling. In interviews, Craig famously remarked that they had to move away from the campier Bond elements because Austin Powers had so effectively lampooned them. In a strange twist, the influence of a comedic parody ended up reshaping the direction of the very saga it poked fun at. This instance highlights how a well-crafted spoof can spark broader cultural repercussions, forcing the original property to evolve or risk irrelevance. The irony reached a head when modern Bond films introduced plot points, such as Blofeld being related to Bond, echoing the brotherly feud between Dr. Evil and Austin. Fans couldn't help but grin at the parallels. Regardless of your preference, gritty realism or flamboyant camp, there's no denying that Austin Powers left its mark on the Bond universe. By prodding fun at 007's tropes, Myers and Company inspired the Super Spy series to adapt, proving that parody can be a potent catalyst for reinvention. In that sense, Austin Powers achieved what few spoofs do. It shaped the future of the very genre it affectionately teased. 3. The mod fashion and those iconic glasses. From velvet suits to frilly cravats, Austin Powers is a walking tribute to the 1960s mod aesthetic. Yet one accessory stands above all others: his unmistakable thick-framed glasses. Mike Myers has shared that he drew inspiration from none other than British actor Michael Caine, who rocked a similar style back in the swinging 60s. By pairing that signature eyewear with vibrant suits, Myers gave Austin a uniquely dorky yet charming vibe. Like a rock star who doesn't realize his own lack of conventional beauty and manages to be all the cooler for it. The glasses aren't just a fashion statement. They serve as a comedic device that exaggerates Austin's out-of-time awkwardness. While spy movies typically feature suave protagonists in sleek tuxedos, Austin revels in his colorful flamboyance. It's a wink at the era's youth-driven culture, where rebellious fashion statements and brash individuality were king. Even modern audiences can't help but be drawn to the character's unapologetic style, as it's equal parts cringe and confident. Perhaps the ultimate homage to this eyewear came when Michael Caine himself joined the franchise in Goldmember, playing Austin's father complete with the same iconic frames. This clever crossover between the film's real-world influences and fictional universe cements the glasses as more than a mere prop. They symbolize Austin's connection to a bygone era that championed liberation, free thinking, and a healthy disregard for stuffy norms. Even decades after its release, the costume design continues to resonate, reminding fans how a single pair of bold spectacles can become an emblem of comedic genius, and an affectionate nod to a cultural revolution that rocked the 60s. 2. The R-rating battle. It might come as a surprise that the breezy, playful Austin Powers initially faced an uphill battle with the MPAA over its rating. While the comedy is undeniably cheeky and filled with innuendos, it initially received an R rating in the United States. The primary sticking point? Scenes featuring clever nudity, where objects happen to obscure private areas in perfectly timed comedic fashion. Director Jay Roach went to bat for these gag-heavy scenes, arguing they were more silly than salacious. The film's humor, after all, skewed towards parody and farce rather than explicit content. Ultimately, some strategic cuts were made to appease censors, allowing AustinPowers to achieve the more market-friendly PG-13 rating. Yet in other regions, such as Australia, audiences got to see the uncut version, resulting in slightly more risque comedic moments. In retrospect, the rating kerfuffle highlights how comedic intention can be misunderstood by rating boards more focused on literal depictions. For fans, the so-called controversial scenes encapsulate the movie's playful spirit, teasing risque subject matter without taking itself seriously. It's not about graphic imagery, it's about taking a time-honored comedic trope, the well-placed object, and amplifying it until viewers can't help but laugh at the absurdity. This battle with censors ultimately added to the film's mystique, with some fans hunting down international cuts just to see if the difference was truly that shocking. More often than not, they discovered exactly what the filmmakers intended: comedic misdirection worthy of a laugh, not a scandal. 1. The slow rise to pop culture royalty. Although we now think of AustinPowers as a comedic titan, the film's box office debut was more modest than you might expect. It made a respectable $67 million worldwide. Not bad for its relatively low budget, but hardly the smash that its sequels would become. A lukewarm marketing campaign meant many moviegoers simply missed it in theaters. However, word of mouth soon began to spread like wildfire. By the time the film hit VHS and cable, it transformed into a must-watch phenomenon. College dorm rooms and casual get-togethers echoed with quotes like, "Oh, behave," and "Yeah, baby," as fans embraced the film's catchphrases, flamboyant visuals, and groovy soundtrack. This grassroots enthusiasm laid the foundation for the next two installments, which each soared beyond $200 million at the box office. In the blink of an eye, AustinPowers had gone from an under-the-radar oddity to a cultural force. Entire parties themed around the character's signature style popped up. Halloween saw countless men in velvet suits, and the name AustinPowers became shorthand for swinging retro fun. The real magic lies in how the film appealed across generational lines. Older fans recognized the nostalgia of the 60s references, while younger viewers found the over-the-top humor instantly meme-worthy. The synergy helped the franchise endure well into the 2000s and beyond. Even now, many years later, the AustinPowers phenomenon remains a case study in how a film can quietly debut, then explode into pop culture supremacy, simply because its comedic mojo resonates with people who just want to smile, dance, and poke fun at the cliches of spy thrillers. Ready for more groovy insights and behind-the-scenes revelations? Hit that like button, drop a comment sharing which AustinPowers fact stunned you the most, and don't forget to subscribe or share this video with friends. Let's keep that 1960s mojo alive, baby. Yeah.